Welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic. Here in Connecticut, Renaissance Fair, Halloween nights. I won't bore you with like the beginning of the day stuff since you have 2 hours of it already. I'll save the good stuff for later. I'm just going in normal Sunday clothes. I turned myself off.
I need help in the back.
He needs help in other ways too.
We are always happy to answer any questions you may have. It's not so much balance as
I would come in here when I'm hungry. What if it's expandable? Great, looks aren't good. German Shepherd? It's a German encampment. Never mind.
Really?
I think that's Doc and Thae. Okay, let's see if we can get Pep to come on over. Pep? Pep's above you. Come on, Pep. I got treats. Come on, Pepper. Okay, Isabella.
So yeah, that's all you're getting.
Let's lift this up and just walk down here a little bit closer for Pepper. She's still learning to slide back into the box. Come on, somebody. Pepper. Come on, Pep. Here comes Pepper. Come on, Pep. There we go.
Yeah, by shooting a quick round. Like you win.
Trouble now.
Oh, it's the wind.
I felt that one.
What?
Yeah, can't you see what's going on? First off, keep in mind that archery is going to change everything about warfare in the Middle Ages. Now, I was just shooting a 45-pound draw weight bow up to around 120 yards or so. Now, the reason I can be so effective with a primitive weapon like that is because I've practiced for over 50 years now and shot millions of arrows in that time. That's the kind of dedication it takes to get that effective with a primitive weapon like this. Now, the type of bow that I was just shooting is what's called the European flat bow. The oldest known bows were found in a bog in Denmark and dated to around 7000 BC. They were all in this style. Now you come forward. Now, what a flat bow like this is, it has flat limbs, it has a rigid handle, it doesn't bend. You go forward to around 3000 BC, this is the style of weapon that starts showing up. This is what's called the U English longbow. Now, the difference between this and the flat bow is this is circular in section, does not have a rigid handle, and it bends throughout its entire length. Now, this U is actually a softwood. That's the reason for the horn tips on the end, because eventually that string would cut into the tip of this bow and break the tip of the bow off without that reinforcement. Sapwood is usually left on because it holds good tension strength on the outside of the bend. Heartwood holds good compression strength on the inside of the bend. Now, I can take, like I said, I was shooting a 45-pound draw weight bow to around 120 yards or so. It's about all the room I have up the path there. Now, I can take a 100-pound draw weight bow and I can go up to 300 yards away and still get the arrows in the general area. Now, if you'll notice when I was shooting up to around 80 yards or so, just right past the tent there, most all of my arrows end up in that fellow's head down there. Now, once I get past that point, some of my arrows don't make their mark, but they get in there very close. Now, if you could picture thousands of soldiers at the end of the field instead of just two, you'd realize, though, that every one of those arrows would hit something. Now, this is the whole point. Just imagine 5,000 archers shooting like that, all at the same time in unison. It's devastating. Certain battles in the Middle Ages where they had hundreds of thousands of arrows that they put in the air in very short periods of time. Now, the Scandinavians are the first to come up with this style of bow, like I said, but it's not called the Scandinavian or Viking bow, the first warlike people to use these. It's called the English longbow because of the way it was used in warfare. Now, keep in mind that archers had been around for thousands of years, but they were in small, unorganized groups. The first English king to incorporate thousands of them into his army was Edward I of England, fighting against the Scots in the late 1200s, mainly because of a battle called the Battle of Stirling Bridge in 1297, where all his knights got caught across the Stirling Bridge. Once William Wallace and the rest of the Scotsmen cut off access to that bridge, all they could do is watch all their knights get slain right in front of them, unable to help them across the river. That's when he started incorporating Welsh archers into his army. Now, in my own experience, he's also the first king to make it mandatory for males of 10 years of age or older to shoot on a daily basis. Now, by the time you get through a generation of men, and you get to the 100 Years' War, which started in 1340, the first major battle being the Battle of Crecy in 1346, then you have thousands to pick from. Now, this is key in their whole evolution of archery in the Middle Ages. The French, the Germans, the Italians, all of them kept relying on their knights instead of preparing for these archers. Now, on the English side, by the time you get to the 100 Years' War, and like I said, in my own experience, I know how valuable it is to have those hundreds of those thousands of men to pick from. Now, shooting that 100-pound drawweight bow, most are shooting anywhere from 80 to 120-pound drawweight bow. In my own experience in the last 50 years, there was about a 10 or 15-year period where I could shoot a 100-pound drawweight bow on a daily basis hundreds of times, but eventually, after about 10 or 15 years, my body started telling me that I had to go back to a 45-pound drawweight bow. My back started hurting, my elbows, my rotary cuff started getting out of place. So I know how important it is to have those thousands to pick from. Now, the French, like I said, they never quite got the idea during the 100 Years' War, and they kept relying on their knights, whereas the English started having their knights play a secondary role in the battle by just protecting the rear of the army in case of attack from the rear. Now, they put their infantry in the middle of the field, and they put their archers flanking them. First thing that I'm going to do as an archer, though, I'm not going to go after the knight. You can picture a knight going after 80 yards. I can hit him with an arrow somewhere if I want to, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go after his horse. Now, that's the point where these bodkin-tipped arrows start piercing armor. Even if that horse has armor, and it was proved at the Battle of Piracy and during the Scottish Wars that the horses start getting smarter than the knights in a certain part of the battle. They start refusing to go into the hailstorm of arrows and just start lying down or turning around and running off in the opposite direction with the knights on them or off of them. So you can tell if a knight comes after me, the first thing I'm going to do is go after his horse. Now that's because I want to slow up his forward momentum. And at that point, like at 250 yards, you're mostly wounding them, which is going to put them out of the battle anyway. And the foot soldiers finish them off later on in the battle. Now, when the battle gets close like that, that's when people start shooting more instinctively instead of point on aiming and trying to get thousands of arrows in the air in unison. Now, once he hits the ground, I've got another arrow on its way with his name on it, so he might make it halfway across the field, and that's about as close as he's going to get to me. And I don't want him any closer, because if he gets up on me, he's going to have heavy armor on. I'm not going to be able to wear heavy armor, and I'm not going to be able to fight the battle on his terms. So I don't want him anywhere near me. It's like the Battle of Agincourt, for instance, which occurred in 1415. There were 6,000 Englishmen underneath Henry V. Now, he got cut off by a much larger force. Now, Henry was in France to prove to the French that he was the rightful king of France too, not just England. Now, he brought along with him about 12,000 men. He had over 1.5 million arrows with him. He had siege weapons. First thing he did was perform a siege on the castle. Now, his men came down with dysentery, and he lost half of his men during that siege on that castle. The idea was to go north where they had a stronghold in Calais, and they were going to hold up there for the winter. Well, when they got cut off by a much larger force of French amounting to 24,000, they knew they were going to have to stand and fight. Now, they took care of their equipment during the night. During a rainstorm, the archers actually slept with their bows in their bedrolls with them, whereas the French stayed up late at night just laughing at the French at the English from the other end of the field, making jokes about who might capture the young Henry V on the next day for ransom. Now, on the following morning, after a short standoff, 12 English archers went out to the middle of the field and tried to show the French that they still had fingers. Now, what this amounts to is that they were shooting their U-bows. It wasn't called shooting their U-bows, it was called plucking their U-bows. They used the English release of the bowstring. And what they were trying to show the French in the English release is one finger above, one finger below the arrow. So they went out to taunt the French because after listening to them for 4 hours on the other end of the field, they wanted to get the battle over with. Now the field was in an hourglass shape, and Henry figured that he would move them, try to enrage them, and get them to move to the middle of the field where they were bunched up closer together. So these English archers went out there, and the Welsh archers went out and showed the French that they still had these two fingers. just taunting them, telling them to come and get them because look, we can still pluck you. Now, somebody got it. And that's pretty much where that starts. The first thing a Frenchman would do, or a German or Italian, is cut that middle finger off so you could never pluck you again. Now, when the French moved forward on a wet field, and got to the middle of that field, that's when the English archers opened up on them. Now, what they weren't expecting, these French fellows, they figured they would win the day very easily since they outnumbered them 4-1. What Henry had with him out of the 6,000, he had 5,000 archers with him, and they had over 800,000 arrows. Wow. They dispensed over all 800,000 of those arrows, putting close to 900 arrows a second in the air. In less than a half hour's time, about 20 minutes time, disposing of over 15,000 of the French in that short period of time. Now that's why this is called the English longbow and not the Scandinavian bow. Now next we're going to fire this trebuchet for you. The trebuchet was first invented by the French around 1280 AD. The one we built here has about 300 to 400 pounds in the weight box and stands about 2 stories tall. Now, if you could picture one 3 times this size, that's how large some of them were. Hold this, would you, Neil? So it doesn't wet the rope. Now, some are built as much as 3 times this size, stand at 6 stories tall, and they can hold as much as 20,000 pounds in the weight box. Now, one like that could sling a 300-pound boulder over 300 yards. They were mostly used for sieges on castles. The idea being to pound the castle walls so you could burst a hole in it. Now that could take weeks at times. So anything that got killed on the battlefield, if a horse got killed, it got slung over into the castle area. Plagued bodies, whatever they had. Now, what we're throwing here is rather light. It will end up halfway down the field there. If we put anything any heavier in it, it's kind of like trying to throw a feather. Put anything any heavier in it, and you take out one of those strange yellow items from the future down there, we could probably upset someone. Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Wow, look at that.
What do you think? Now, if you come out at 7 this evening, we'll be throwing some flaming balls out of that once it gets dark at 7 o'clock.
Cool.
Don't miss that, that's much amusement.
And the flaming arrows, too.
We have just enough time to shoot one more round. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Everyone's been enjoying yourselves today.
Marsch! Bereitstellt für den Halt! Halt! Niederstellt den Waffen, niederstellt. Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. You're all early. You all get bonus points for punctuality, ja? We wait for our captain. He's the guy that's going to give demonstration. Yeah? We wait for him.
He does not get bonus
I am
points.
telling all of these nice people that they are getting bonus points for the punctuality.
Very good. We like that for German. We like people to be on time, yeah? Guten Tag, Carla! No, but they're asleep. We try again. I say Guten Tag, Carla. You say Guten Tag back. Very well. Guten Tag, Carla.
Guten Tag.
Much better, but this time like you're excited to be here. Guten Tag, Carla.
Guten Tag.
Better. They're very consistent.
Yeah.
Consistency is appreciated,
That's
yeah?
also a German value.
Very much. Pretty much any of the values that are worth having are German values. That's our opinion. Welcome here. My name is Freiherr Gustav von Reichach, Hauptmann von der Line, which I will now explain to you because you all have this look on your faces. I don't know what just flew over my head, but it was very close. Freiherr Gustav von Reichach means Baron Gustav of Reichach. Technically, I am not the reigning Baron. My brother is the reigning Baron. But because our father before us had the title, I get to use it as well. I am also his heir, so I do not feel so bad about using it. Reichach is our land. We are from a small barony in Bavaria, the Duchy of Bavaria, in the Holy Roman Empire. You all know the Holy Roman Empire?
Yeah.
You at least, if not, you know Bavaria, so you have idea where we are coming from and why we have such fabulous accent, yeah? Well, the second part of it is what is Hauptmann? What is my title? Hauptmann von der Line, Captain of the Gold Company. You see a small number of the Gold Company here in front of you today. Those men who spoke English and therefore were allowed to come here with me. The rest of them are back in the Low Countries. We number about 400 strong. So, we will be talking today about the weapons and fighting styles of us, the Landsknecht, is what we are called, soldiers of the Holy Roman Empire. And this is the year of our Lord, 1528. We will talk about the weapons, we will talk about the fighting style, and then we will answer any questions you might have for us. We will begin by talking about the single most important weapon that we use on the field of battle, which also happens to be the largest weapon we use on the field of battle. Albert, come and see us. This is Albert. He is the Weibel, or the sergeant of the Spieß. He is holding what is a Spieß, a pike, a 14 to 20 foot long spear. Now the pike is a very effective weapon that was originally designed to be used against cavalry. For instance, links um links, gegen den Reuteren, fällt den Spieß, Reuteren. You will notice a few things. First, Albert is standing on the end of his pike, and he has placed the head, not quite at that's the bent pole. We try it this way. Yeah, look at that. Much higher up. The head is at about the height of the chest of a charging horse. So by putting his foot on there, it's designed to keep the pike from moving, because the horses will charge here and hit the end of the pike. What do you think what happens when a horse hits the end of a pike?
Pike wins.
It hurts, and the pike wins. The horse does not die immediately. He tends to get to about here when he falls down dead. Or at least that's what Albert is hoping. Because if the horse doesn't fall down dead that quick, he only has about another 8 feet before the horse is on top of him. The pike will either stick in his chest or break off inside the horse's chest, leaving him dead. Horse stops. What happens to the man on top of the horse?
Lands on Albert.
He keeps going. What do you think is behind Albert?
More pikes.
Spießen einfallen. More of Albert's friends. We field right now 320 pikemen. So, when the man flies off of here, he flies back into them, and they're ready to catch him in a maneuver that we have taken name from the Turks, called shish kebab. Very effective. Now it's worth noting, you can teach a horse to charge against a pike once, but only once. If he does it, he will never do it a second time. Yeah? So, because this is not very good for the horses, horses are expensive, Knights have decided to stop charging at us. That means we have to use the pike against infantry much of the time. For that, we need different tactics. Aufwärts, joggen den Spieß, aufwärts. Gegen den Fiend, fellet den Spieß, Fiend. They lower their pikes, and then they lock up. This does a number of things, the most important of which is when you come up against another infantryman, don't drop it, keep it up. When they come against other infantrymen, you are pushing not against the first person in the line, but everybody in the line. Which makes it very difficult. It is essentially a large pointy wall of men, 320 strong, pushing wherever they feel like going. Very messy. This means that whoever has the longest pikes and the strongest pike block will win if two of them come together. Now, when two pike blocks come together, it gets very messy. We don't like messy, we like winning. So, we have ways of dealing with pike blocks in this regard. Otto, kommen Sie ruhig. Otto is a Doppelsadner. Spießen. Ja, danke schön. Otto is a Doppelsadner. The standard Spießtrager, like you see here, is paid 4 guilder in a month. Now you're wondering, how much is 4 guilder? Well, a farmer who brings in all of his crop and has a very good year can make 4 guilder in an entire year. So, one of these men can make that much in 1 month. Good pay, yeah? This is why men join the army. The pay is worthwhile. If you live long enough, you might advance. Now the average Spießtrager lives 6 months to 1 year. If they make it through, they might eventually become a Doppelsadner like Otto here. Doppelsadner is a good German word that means double soldier. Care to guess how much Otto makes? 8 guilder. Thank goodness someone can do math. You might are obviously French or something. It's 8 guilder. He is paid twice. We're not very original when it comes to naming things, as you will see. A Doppelsadner can fight with one of a few weapons. The halberd, like Otto is carrying there, or this, the Beihander, which is a good German word that means 2 hands. Again, we're not very original. Yeah? Both weapons are actually used in the same way. They are both pole arms in their fighting technique. The difference is, this weapon is very inexpensive. It's a nice large head on top of a stick. If it breaks in battle, Otto finds a new stick. This weapon costs 40 to 60 guilder to make. So, what one of them will make in a year, I am carrying in my hand. If it breaks, I'm very, very sad. Fortunately, they do not break very often. Why carry this when this does the same job? Showing off. This says to you, I'm good enough that I can afford to get this, and I'm good enough to swing it on the battlefield that I haven't died yet. So that's a good thing for advertising. The difference in cost comes in the blade style. A nice wavy blade like this costs closer to 60. A straight blade would be closer to 40. They both do the same job. What is that job? That's why a Doppelsadner gets paid twice as much. 3 important things he might do. Otto might act as a bodyguard for someone like me, an officer. Though honestly, I like to fight myself, so not very often. Second thing he might do, he might also protect the flag. Second thing he might do is he might stand behind the Spießtragers. He might stand at the back of the formation. Maybe there is someone new in the formation, like Wolfram. And we are going into battle, and Wolfram is seeing all the people on the other side and saying, you know what? I'm going to turn around and go home. He sees Otto and decides, I'm going to turn around and keep marching. Because while the people over on this side might kill him, Otto definitely will. So he's got a better chance if he keeps moving forward. final reason that Otto is paid so much, and the real reason he is paid so much, is because as a Doppelsonder, he has a very important job. And I'm sorry, Otto, give me a minute. This is actually how we go into battle often times. You kick your shoes off, better traction. When coming against pike, your job is to make a hole before the other pike line gets there. Like I said, you don't want to bring your pike line into another one. So, while all of them are arranged to try and stop us, our job as Doppelsonder, about 8 to 10 men, is to make a hole. Spießen, alle Glied, gegen den Reutern, fällt den Spieß, Reutern. They are set to receive a charge. Otto and I need to make sure that we make a hole. And what's coming behind us is 320 of our friends pointing big spears at our back. So we have only one direction to go. Not weiter! He's back for you too. So a couple of things happened in the middle of that fight. First of all, they pretty much all died. Second of all, they drew their secondary weapons, their Katzbolger. The Katzbolger is a short-sided or short-sized arming sword used by us, the Landsknecht. It is designed with very little thrusting tip. This is because when you put the sword in the hand of any untrained Schwartz, they will instinctively do this. Unless I give it to one of you Americans and you do this. For some odd reason you all swing this way and I don't understand. But, so, it takes no training to learn how to swing a sword. It takes a lot of training to learn how to thrust with one. They're going to die soon. I'm not going to bother teaching them. By putting them all with these nice, short, heavy blades, they get a few advantages. It's short enough, they're less likely to hit their friends in battle. And it's heavy enough, they might be able to deflect a blow for something like a spieß, or maybe something like a halberd as it comes in. I don't need to stop, I just need to make it go in a different direction. And then I can bring it back around. So it's a very effective short-cutting weapon. I don't pay you, or I don't give you one of these when you start. Care to guess how much it cost? 4 guilder. First month's pay. So if you don't come in with a sword, you're already in debt to the army. Good thing, yeah? In fact, I pay for nothing when you join the army. You pay for your own clothing. If you want to sleep out anything other than under the stars, you pay for your own tent, your own weapons, your own food, your own drink. But you're making good money, so maybe you have some left at the end of the month. More than likely, you can go away or spend it with the nice young women. But, aside from all of this, maybe you stick around, you become Doppelsonder, you make good money, or you decide to find another weapon that you want to try and fight with. Yeah, Fritz and Kaspar, kommen Sie heute. Kaspar, over here. Fritz, tell him what you have.
Guten Tag, alle. My name is Fritz Schumacher. I am the Weibel of Das Geldfähnlein. This is Sergeant. I'm Weibel of the Harquebus. This is a Harquebus. It's what you might think of as a musket. This is a firearm. This is a matchlock firearm. I show you a little bit about how it works. It's very, very simple. It is a barrel. On the side of the barrel there's a pan. I put powder in the pan. I pour powder down the barrel. Then after the powder I drop a musket ball about ½ inch in diameter made of lead. It does not fit very tightly down the barrel. This is not a rifled barrel. This is a smooth bore weapon. I drop the musket ball down and it falls. I don't need to use stick to jam it in there. Once I have loaded weapon, this is ignition mechanism. This is a piece of rope soaked in saltpeter. It's called a match. The saltpeter is a chemical that makes it burn a little hotter, a little slower, more evenly. When the order is given to fire, I put the match in the lock. This piece is called the lock. This consists of 3 pieces. You have a lock, a stock, and a barrel. Whole thing, yeah? So when it is time for me to fire, want to make sure match is nice and hot, has a good ember, I open the pan cover, pulls the tiller, and with any luck, this burning match goes into the pan and sets off the weapon. This is if weather is cooperating, and this is if it is not too humid or windy or raining, yeah? So, good harquebus can get off maybe 5 or 6 shots in a minute. Very quick to load because I don't have to jam the musket ball down into the barrel. I just drop it. Very, very simple, very quick to load. You will notice that Caspar over here is carrying a second one. Little different model, little longer, but works exactly the same way. Caspar is Otto's son. But let's say that Caspar is my son. I have daughter. She is not old enough to do this yet, but in a few years she will be. What Caspar will do is on the battlefield, not in any danger. Yeah, we will keep Caspar away from the real fighting. But what Caspar will do is he will load that one while I am firing this one. Then I will hand this one off to Caspar. He will hand me one that he has already loaded. This has the effect of increasing my rate of fire. These weapons are very expensive. I did not buy both of these. I found them both on the battlefield. If you're very lucky and you can acquire several of these, this can make you very, very effective, very quick at firing.
So Fritz, let's switch back and let's have you load and show people how this works.
So, very simple, as I said. Around my chest I'm carrying a bandolier of charges. Each one of these charges has enough powder to fire once.
You will notice he is doing all this while holding burning match in his other hand. Powder on his chest, burning match. Fritz is a walking bomb.
How long does he live?
Based on how fast he is, not very.
I'm much quicker than I've been
lucky,
drinking.
this one. Now normally he would put a ball in, but we do not want to actually send a ball of lead in that direction. It will go between 50 and 100 yards, and we don't know where it will land. So we are going to be nice, not put a ball in. Ball will normally just roll down, he will smack it in place. No need to use the stick on the bottom. When he is ready, I will say, mark fetting. He will bring the harquebus around, he will put the match in the lock, test and make sure that it's going to go off. Touching hot piece of match to a thin piece of metal, hoping it doesn't go off before he wants it. When he is all set, I will say, "Gibt Feuer!" And he will quickly turn around, handgun off to Caspar, who's already loaded the next one. Take the match, put it in place, put it up into position to fire. Mark fertig. Gibt Feuer! So you will notice a few things. First of all, when Fritz is firing, he's not actually putting the stock to his shoulder. He is instead resting it against his chest. Having a breastplate is very advantageous in this instance. He feels little to no recoil. Second of all, the second time he needed to fire, he was going too slow. So he took the match, instead of putting it in the lock, put it right in his pan. But if you look at the fingers of his gloves, you will see this isn't really a good thing to do much. Because while most of the explosion is going this way, some of the explosion is coming up and out. This is in fact why Fritz has no feathers on that side of his hat. He had feathers there and then quickly learned they weren't helpful to have in that place. He instead has them all on one side, and you'll notice that the hat is tilted at an angle. Because if we're firing in a line, my explosion is going to go this way. Putting that there keeps it from burning his face as well. You can tell that we drill very well because he still has a beard. So, now we show you a little bit about what this all looks like when we are marching, yeah?
Yeah!
Einfallend. Specifically, I want you to pay attention to the fact that while marching, Fritz has to do everything you just saw him do while standing still. Aufwärts, trucken den Waffen, aufwärts! Albert.
Ja.
Gehen Sie.
Spinrod zum links, Spinrod.
I let Albert drive so I can talk.
Und marsch hier, marsch!
While they are marching, I will give the order for Fritz to start loading the gun. Harquebusser! Mark fertig! He will now, while marching, have to take the charge off his chest, Load the pan, spin it around, pour the rest down the barrel. At this point he would add a ball. When he is ready, alle Waffen gegen den Feind! Feind! Hakewasser! Gebt Feuer! Erster! Spinnrad zum Links, Spinnrad! Volksmarschiert, Marsch! Spinnrad zum Links und rechts, Spinnrad! Volksmarschiert, Marsch! Gegen den Feind, alle Waffen, Feind! Rechtstopp oder Halt! Halt! Geld!
Ah! Bang!
Erster! Damen und Herren, das Kapitänlein! Yeah, they like the
I'm burning my fingers for your entertainment.
Ja, Niederstadt in Waffen, Niederstadt. Is anyone knowing the time?
152.
Wunderbar. We have time for a few questions before we must leave the field. I believe King Arthur is doing something here. So, who is having questions for the vein line? Jawohl, mein Herr.
You had mentioned that the slug was very loose in the barrel, so it could easily slide down for loading. Does that make it an issue if he needs to fire from an elevated position that it might fall down his barrel before he can get the shot off?
Very often, if we are firing from any sort of height, you do not let the weapon fall until you're ready to go. Second of all, it's not quite so perfect in its shape, so it might start to roll, but it will tend to catch. That's why you normally have to slam it down when you load it.
I cast all of my own musket balls over the fire, melting the lead, so they're not perfectly round. Trust me, they're not perfectly round.
But I will say that when he is casting them, they all look round because he's a little bit in his cups. Yeah?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Very good question, though. We had actually the Battle of Pavia. We found ourselves firing down on the French and most of the other Landsknecht who were traders who were fighting for the French. Between us and the Spanish arquebuses, we are the ones who determined the battle. First time that the arquebus was instrumental in winning a battle. So 1525, just a few years ago.
I think these are going to catch on.
One thing the French mentioned is you can fire about four to six times in a minute. A good archer can get off about 10 or 12 arrows in that time. Why would you use this instead of having an archer?
What?
Well, Fritz, how long does it take someone to learn how to use that?
About a day.
It takes a good archer to start exercising when they're 6 or 8 years old. I can put that in the hand of any schmutz. In a day, you're as good as Fritz. In a week, you're better.
This is a weapon that we consider to be idiot-proof.
That's why we gave it to him.
Trust me, I know. Yeah. That's why you're so handsome.
So we often get asked too, how accurate of a weapon is it? Not very at all. It doesn't have to be. For instance, if we are facing off against the enemy and Fritz wants to shoot at the man down the yellow, and he hits you, sir, we don't care. As long as someone falls
I want to
down.
hit the man in yellow. He's not paying attention.
Oh yeah.
We will be giving him quiz later.
Are there other questions? Nobody has any other questions. I'm impressed. You all know everything. Yeah, again, very good.
Well, except for the gunner there. None of you are wearing any armor to speak of. It's all cloth.
This is true. This is for a couple of reasons. First of all, Spießtragers can't generally afford armor. It's just not very useful to them, and they're not going to live that long.
It's also difficult to do this when you're wearing armor, yeah?
We need them to move fast and quickly, so we don't worry about it. Normally, I wear a breastplate. Today, I'm being lazy, so I am not. Because as an officer, it is my job to fight in the front line, because in the Holy Roman Empire, we do something called leading our men instead of following our men, yeah? So normally, yes, I would be wearing more armor than I am wearing today. What you've also noticed, Aldo is wearing a little bit of upper body armor, because when he is charging in, he is hoping that, well, if anything comes this way, I will take it off the shoulders. But he has a big weapon that is good at blocking his body, so he worries less about it. It's a very good question, but we have to move quickly, so we do not arm heavily. We let all that armor go on the guys with the horses, and then we stab the horses. Very good. Damen and Herren, we must leave the field, but I would ask you all to come visit us at our encampment over by the Pope's pulpit. Today at 3:30 we will also be doing a demonstration of battlefield medicine, where you can see what happens if all this goes wrong. And if the day goes very badly, at 6 o'clock we may have to do an amputation. So come by and visit, ja? Ja, Albert, sagen den Waffen aufwärts. March them out, Albert. Damen und Herren, das Kampffähnlein. Spinnrad, links, Spinnrad. Kurz marschiert, Marsch. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. I don't know if you can hear me or not over the yelling of the crowd there. But Halloween Nights has officially begun. I have a little awkward feeling. Since I'm off by a week, this is Pirate Day. But I couldn't find a hat. Still can't find a hat, but I got some ideas. Waiting for our food. And maybe we get to see some flaming arrows and headless horsemen and general bigotry. But like, why wait till 5 o'clock to come when it's the same price to get in if you can get in the whole day? So we came again for the whole day, which is good because I missed a few parts in the King Arthur story. So here's some fun beginnings. And that lady playing Morgan Le Fay, her name's also Heidi. Yeah, she carries it so much more awesome than I. It's not fair. There we go.
Tell you about the denizens of the night, the owls. Owls are very fascinating birds, and everybody loves owls. I don't know anybody who has anything but respect or awe of owls. They are nighttime raptors, and what they do is they primarily eat rodents and the like, and they have some fascinating adaptations that make them excellent night hunters. The first thing people notice on owls is their beautiful faces. The dish or heart face of an owl is actually a parabolic receptor funneling what they hear to the ears on the sides of their head, which are placed asymmetrically. Owl's ears are closer one at a time than the other and tilted at different angles. This gives all owls, but especially the Boston owl, the best directional hearing of any creature on Earth. Many times, owls don't even need to see their prey, only hear it rustling around on the ground. And some birds, such as the barn owl and the great gray owl up north, have such excellent hearing that they can actually hear a mouse's heartbeat under the snow. That little face that they wave, and owls comically looking, wave their heads around, and what they're doing is actually zeroing in on the things that they're listening to. They're in a world of sound rather than a world of sight. We're going to have our little owl fly out for us. His name is Newton. I'm going to have him fly out to the sound of my voice. Come on, Newton. There we go, Newton. And if you listen carefully, notice that our Newton does not hoot. Barn owls make a variety of noises other than hooting, which makes them responsible for all the hauntings in the old buildings that they occupy. They are unfortunately declining in numbers in the wild. This is due to our farming practices. changing. The old wooden barns and silos which were built from them and hung from and nested have been replaced with metal buildings. But wise farmers and landowners realized the rodent control value of owls for putting up nest boxes and perching platforms for owls to hunt from. One pair of barn owls in the spring was observed bringing 23 mice to the nest in a 1.5-hour period. This is excellent natural rodent control and considered far more ecologically sound than using cats. Cats are an introduced species, and for rodent control, cats also present a lot of problems. They kill songbirds instead. 100,000 songbirds each day, adding up to almost 4 billion birds a year, are killed by this introduced species, the average house cat. So there are some folks like me who are canvassing and promoting putting up owl boxes instead. Have a native species take care of the rodent problem, and they do such an excellent job. Now, Sir Peter Rathbull's brought out our beautiful barred owl, whose name is Norton. We have a second barred owl in training named Webster. Norton was found hid on the side of the road in upstate New York. He has some permanent crippling injuries from the auto collision. His left eye is blind from the retina being separated. His left wing is from the bones being broken. Inadvertently, we are all responsible for such injuries. I don't know if anyone tosses trash on the road, but if you were done with that food item, that apple core, that pizza crust, you toss that on the road, you attract rodents, and that in turn attracts their predators. Over 60,000 birds of prey are killed in our highways each year. Let's reduce those numbers and not toss out that attractive nuisance food trash. Now, at night for an owl, the source of light only needs to be equivalent of a candle held 1/2 a mile away. The owls can turn their heads 270 degrees to focus on the item of interest. Their eyes are fixed in their head. They can't turn them like we can, but they have twice as many bones in their neck. We have 7, they have 14, so they turn their head instead. They can fly as silently as a moth with their silent wings. And if you look at an owl's wings, they can actually lift it a little bit higher in the back because they can lift their prey off the ground better than the diurnal raptors, such as a falcon or a hawk. And that way they can drop on their prey and lift up. They can lift up heavier things as well. But owls do have a poor sense of smell. The source of, to give you an idea how poor an owl's sense of smell really is, great horned owls love to kill and eat skunks. Now, Sir Peter's walk around with a beautiful barred owl Norton, and then we have our other owls. And barred owls, just like barn owls, are cavity nesters, and there are other birds that you can put up in nest boxes to attract them as well. And one other thing, our owls are declining, and one of the major things that people are using nowadays is a very irresponsible thing, and that is poisons for rodents. These poisons, when the rodents ingest them, they get thirsty. They seek water. Well, that makes them careless. And the owls and the hawks in the daytime go down and they eat these rodents, and they are also poisoned. So do not use rodenticides. They are very, very bad for our environment. They don't really work either. They're not that effective. It's kind of they aren't that effective for controlling rodents. The best thing you do is just to manage your property. Now, you can make your property more wildlife friendly, and part of that is putting up owl boxes. The National Wildlife Federation has coordinated with all the state game departments to encourage people to have their property certified as wildlife friendly. It's a great program. They have a little checklist you go over, and you get a nice little plaque to put on your property. The best part about the program, you don't need to have a large parcel of land. Even the smallest suburban lot will qualify. Now, as Peter walks around to our barred owl Norton, at the end of the show, we will have our owls on display in our diurnal or daytime birds go to bed at sundown, so they are sitting right over there in their boxes as quiet as can be. So we're going to put our newt back again, and Peter's going to come around in a moment. Come on. Oh, sweetheart. Right there? Okay, newt. There you go. And as he comes around, we have a nice big crowd today. It's much, much nicer in warmer weather. He's coming around, and we're going to fly our largest owl, whose name is Artemis. The eagle owl, she is called, is the Eurasian eagle owl, which is the European cousin to the American great horned owl. They look just like, they're the same genus. They're nearly twice the size, and rather than have yellow eyes of the great horned owl, they have these pumpkin orange eyes. That makes them a really neat bird there. The largest species in the world, golden eagles and eagle owls, are natural enemies. Think of them as the lions and hyenas of the avian world. A fellow in Siberia, a biologist, was studying the nest, and he found golden eagle nest with eagle owl parts in it, and then he found an eagle owl nest with golden eagle parts in it. So they definitely do not get along. So we're going to have our Artemis come on out here. I am ready to have her come to the tree. That's a lot of bird coming at you, isn't it? Now she makes this call. This is a locator contact call. She's captive bred and she's 8 years old. She has this beautiful orange eyes. She's telling me where she's at. Now if I go, ooh, 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 she's looking at the speaker. I'm going to head on over and get her to go on in. But she can't come to my voice just like this. Okay. There we go, everyone. Very good, Artemis Owl. Very, very good. That worked. That worked. Now we're going to do it again. See if we can get her coming out. Now I have to turn off the sound because she's listening. The sound was over there and she saw the box. Okay, I'm ready. There you go, Art. Tasty good bites. Now they do eat a whole animal diet. This is because predators do require vegetables in their diet, the same as we do. And predatory animals get that by consuming the stomach, intestines, and viscera of the favorite part, or the entire carcass if it's small enough. And Art, you want to head on back? Ready to get on back? Let's see if I can do this again. There she goes, everyone. Right on in. There we go. Very good. Artemis. Ow. She's doing quite well. Now we're going to play our little Newton again. We'll do a little trick with him. He's an extremely sound-oriented bird as well. But what I'm going to do is see if I can get him to do a little circle. I'm going to leave the sound on. He'll head towards the speaker. I'll flip it off real quick, and hopefully he'll do a complete circle and then head to me. Okay, I'm ready. Newton. Nope. He knows. There you go, Newton. What it is, it's getting dark. So, you ready, Newton? You want to try this again? We'll see if we can get him to go back in. Now he's gobbling down his little treat. Barn owls are found on every continent. There's actually a gray or ashy-faced barn owl in Hispaniola area of the world. They're found on every continent except Antarctica. They're a wonderful owl to have around. They don't make a big loud noise, but if you have owls, remember to expect them to talk at night. Ready to count up, Newton? There you go. I'm going to try the lift. We're going to see if we can get him to circle. He saw me, though. He can see better now. He doesn't have that sun inside. So I'm going to give this a try again. I'm going to kind of get out of sight. That's right. Okay.
Stick it right there.
No, you figure this out. There you go, Newton. There's your treat. What a very good little boy you are. There you go. Want to go ahead, Newton? I want to try Artemis again. I'm going to give Artemis a try again. Ready to get up, Newton? Now, Newton is now 10 years of age. Artemis is 8. Newton is a captive bred barn owl. There you go. Your handsome little fella. And Art, are you enjoying this game? Oh, yes, she is. Get her. She's eager. She knows what's going on. And owls are wonderful birds to have around. Now, the barn owl makes this very human-like scream. It's what actually is a food begging call. I can sometimes get our owls to do it. Okay, let's see if we can get our Art to do it. There you go, Art. What a good girl you are. Now let's see if we can get her to turn around. And she'll send it. Art, want to go back in? Artemis, out. Right right on in, everyone. There we go. Very good, Artemis Owl. Let's have a hand for our Artemis Owl. She's doing very well. Let's talk about her. Now we're going to have our Norton and we're going to have our Webster. Sometimes I get our Webster coming out. He's not leashed right now, so I have to get him. And they do. You want to do this again? Okay, we'll get him to do it again. He's having so much fun. He's in his element. He's not flying in the daytime like he does in our daytime shows. He's flying at night and he absolutely loves this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hide over here. Now Newton might fly very close to you. He might even brush you with a wing, but he'll honor that you have been brushed by now. I'm going to see what we can get our Newton to do. Now I am going to turn off the sound so he can hear me. Okay, I'm ready. There you go. Hi, Newton. What a good little boy you are. You're a sweet little handsome. Now, he's getting kind of bored now, but he does enjoy being with us. And these little calls that they do are what we call contact or locator calls. It's what young birds of prey do to let their parents know where they are. That's what Artemis is calling right now. She says, hey, I'm here. I'm here. Well, some people say it sounds like a kitten crying.
Yeah.
And Webster and Norton make a little human-like scream. Sometimes they'll answer me back. Did you hear Webster?
Yeah.
There you go. Now it can get very, very loud and very high-pitched, and sometimes it'll really scare the stuff out of you in the middle of the night if you're walking in the woods. But that's the sound that they do. We're going to be over here with our owls. We'll have some of them, our owls in the tent afterwards. And we do pass the hat at the end of the show. So if any of you would like to tip the performance of our birds or the training of their falconers, it would be greatly appreciated. We will have a little photo opportunity with both Newton and Norton and have them ready. Thank you so much for coming out to our Halloween show.
The guys over there.
They ducked.
He missed it. He's got the fire.
Look at that thing going still.
That's a cat.
They come up too bright on that. What's this about now?
Oh my gosh.
Come on, it can take a few moments for it to start up too once it hits the start.
The other one went out.
Pelly's seen better days.
He's feeding a zombie.
He ate the chip and not brains.
Let's go!
Could be raining.
Could be below zero and silly.
Needless to say, a change since the last time we've been at the joust. So I'm not quite sure what the camera will pick up.
Stay away from the lights.
I remember the night of my 21st birthday. That was the first time I died. I've been dying on my 21st birthday ever since. Ever since. Yeah. Now I get to eat one up.
Greetings, mortals, and welcome to the Field of Shadows. I am Ariok, the Lord of Limbo, and your protector, for the moment at least. I caution you to be well-behaved, mortals, and you may yet return to the land of the living. Heed my... You will never see the sun rise again. This night is indeed a rare and special one, for this is All Hallows Eve, when the veil between the mortal realm and the lands of Limbo are weakened and thin. On special nights such as this, we, the creatures of your nightmares, may escape the hellish confines of our domain and enter your world. On such nights we venture forth, seeking the souls of mortals to drag back to the land of shadow. This night, which comes but once a year, we grant wishes and power to evil men in exchange for their immortal souls. We tempt the weak into bargains from which there is no escape. We corrupt the good, destroy the mighty, and murder the innocent. We steal children, your children, and give you cause to fear the night. We are those who dwell ever in the shadows of your nightmares, and tonight we are as real as you. This night you bear witness to a spectacle most rare, for only once in an age does a mortal so evil walk the earth that upon their death they are cast out here among the demons and the nightmares. Even rarer still is a curse so mighty that a mortal pure and good is forced to spend an eternity in our dominion. Such is the tale of Persephone, the witch queen of Chalcedony. So brutal was she in her life, so wicked and murderous in her rule, that her own people rose up repeatedly against her in the nearly 300 years of her reign. Time and again they tried to drive her off or kill her. But Persephone had such a talent for sorcery, such a lust for power, and so little regard for life that she kept her throne for 279 years. Finally, death did find her, as it does all mortals. The captain of her own guard, seeing the monster, cast his lot in with the peasant and betrayed his queen, treachery at the hands of her own 9 made her buried. But with her 9 left, the queen cursed him and said that his name should be forever forgotten, and that upon his death he joined her in hell. Doomed by hatred, her curse could not be broken, and upon his death, the champion of the guard paid the price of the betrayer and joined his queen in eternal torment at the death night. 1 year has passed since he defeated the death knight in Athens, Charlotte here on the field of battle. The year has passed, and he sees the witch queen has returned. Once more to the field of shadows, Queen Persephone, and you also, nameless knight.
On that faithless betrayer and end his miserable existence forever. Do not interfere.
Queen Persephone, I killed you once. I will do so again. Do not tempt me.
Persephone, your threats are cannot defeat me here, and you know it. Risk not my wrath. Certainly regret it.
I am Queen Persephone, and no one, living or dead, speaks to me in such terms. Know your place, demon!
Know your place, mortal! You were a queen in your waking life, but I am the Lord of Limbo, and in this place, my will is absolute. I have summoned you both here, as it is once again time to choose a minion to go forth into the mortal realm. Persephone, you defeated the Death Knight 1 year ago in Absence Challenge, and were commanded to go forth to collect the souls of mortals. You have returned, and yet she has not. And you are not alone, I see. The Headless Horseman is indeed a powerful being. You have done well to bring him to me.
You, Ariel, are nothing more than a demon, just like your minion Absinthe. She crossed me, and I destroyed her. I have returned only to take my vengeance on that soulless husk of a knight. This horseless, headless horseman is my servant. Do not cross me, demon, or I will destroy you as well.
You test your patience, Persephone. You cannot do as you will in this place. You have been dead for 1,000 years and are condemned to spend an eternity here under my control, unless I choose to set you free. And I do not. The time has come for me to choose a minion to the land of shadow, but means you choose. Deliver me, mortal souls, innocent or wicked, I care not. Do this, and I may choose to release you from your imprisonment. As before, I shall choose but one of you. The victor shall be granted his freedom for 1 year to do my bidding. The other must remain here in limbo. The champion shall be determined through a series of challenges, 2 to be named by me, and 2 to be chosen by you. As your hatred for one another is legendary even in this place, I have decided you must once more do battle with each other for supremacy by whatever means you see fit.
Queen Persephone, I challenge you to a joust. You are a soulless hag who had no courage in life. You have none in death. You cannot triumph here. I shall crush you on the field.
What say you, Queen Persephone? The Death Knight clings to the trappings of his mortal self and challenges you to a duel of knights. How do you answer him?
So be it. That walking corpse is no knight, and never was, even before my curse took his life and his soul. He thinks he can defeat me. I will beat him at his own challenge. I accept.
And what of your challenge, Queen Persephone?
When I was alive, that so-called knight took my life, leading a horde of filthy rabble. I killed hundreds of them before I fell. Their blood and their screams filled my castle to overflowing. He thinks he can defeat me? I am far stronger now than when I was alive. Let him face my sorcery and my minions. He will beg for death before I am through.
Very shrewd, Persephone. You would suggest a battle wherein you have both your sorcery and your magic, and your opponent has not but his sword and his hatred. What say you, Death Knight?
My curse can only be broken by her destruction. I will risk everything to end my torment. I have nothing to lose.
Be not so certain of that, for I shall determine the punishment for the one who falls here this night. My capacity for torment will make Persephone's curse seem like a child's anger. So let these challenges begin. Champions, take your places for the challenge of rings of fire. These champions shall ride their steeds round the perimeter of the field, collecting rings of fire from the hands of my minions. I shall look with favor upon the champion who collects the most rings, and with scorn upon the one who lacks the skills or the courage to do so. Minions, are you prepared? Champions, are you prepared?
Aye.
The Death Knight shall ride first. Minions, ignite your rings. Death Knight, begin! Well done, Death Knight. 3 rings achieved. Minions, prepare your rings for Persephone's run.
Arioch, I compete in your games, but do I not enjoy a moment of it?
Persephone, if you do not comply with the terms of the challenge, you shall never leave this field. I will unleash the Death Knight upon you, along with all my minions. Take care history does not repeat itself and you die again. As well, Persephone. Nobly attempted. It would seem that we are tough. What? There you, It is well enough that you think you may destroy what you like in this place. But remember who the real master of this domain is. Minions, rise! For your insolence, Persephone, the Death Knight is now one step closer to earning his freedom. I advise you, Persephone, not to put your fate into the hands of your horsemen. These champions compete for the right to return to the mortal realm for 1 year to do my bidding, to collect the souls of innocents, whether through bargain and trickery, or simply through treachery and murder. They shall be condemning others to share their fate. Both hatred and power will be needed to serve me. In this next challenge, the champions must ride through the field, collecting the souls of these hapless beings set about the field. They must destroy these sad beings swiftly, and then return to the center to collect my favor, to be held aloft in the hand of one of my slaves. The champion who is strongest, most ruthless, and fastest shall prevail. And now, let the harvesting of souls begin. Minions, are we prepared? Champions, are we prepared? Aye! Good mortals, cheer your champion to victory. Let the harvest of souls begin! Ignite shall be allowed 4 lances. But this is not the mortal realm. These are not mortal champions, and as such, they shall not joust with mortal weapons. I promise you pain like you have never experienced should you be struck by these weapons. You may have chosen the challenge that night, but these are my terms. Minions, are we prepared? Make haste, my slaves. I grow impatient to determine our victor. Mortals, cheer for your favorite champion. Are we prepared? Champions, ignite your lances!
He's saying, screw this, man. I know he's going.
Defeated in the joust, I shall have my vengeance.
Queen Persephone, scourge of Chalcedony, murderer of her own people, perhaps the most selfish and brutal mortal ever to walk the earth. Here, on the field of shadows, you stand defeated by your opponent. As a result, the Death Knight shall be released into the mortal realm for 1 year. And for your defiance, Persephone, you shall remain here and endure pain like hell has never seen.
It's not having it. It's not over yet.
Destroy Legion! Legion! To me! Destroy Persephone's monsters!
Your minions stand defeated, and yet you have not gained my throne as you wished. Death Knight, go! Take her on and witness her your freedom from her death! What? What are these but the temporary things that melt with the heat of my wrath? I am the Lord of Limbo, and no one defies me, not even you, Persephone of Chalcedony. Death Knight, go, I charge you now with all the powers and abilities I now possess. You have but one mission now. Go forth to the mortal realm. Find Persephone, so-called pretender to my throne, and bring her here to meet her fate at my hands. I grant you limitless power, undying strength, and endless determination for the task. Go forth, bring me the heart of Persephone of Chalcedony, and win your freedom! Shall not go alone. I summon all you here upon this field. Demon, construct, minion alike, rise! Regardless of who you once served, it is I who command you now and for all time. Go forth into the mortal realm. Find the witch queen Persephone and bring her here to meet my justice. If you fail, you shall suffer as no being has failed in all of hell. Now go! And lastly, a word to you mortals. I unleash all of hell itself upon the mortal realm until their task is completed. Do not hinder them in their quest, for they will not quail in adding your soul to the task at hand. I release you now that you may go to your homes and quake in fear. Fear of Persephone, and fear also that all the most hellish designs of your nightmares are now free to walk the earth. Pray the battle ends soon.
Thank you, my lord. Go in peace, my good people. I got this. Hail the king!
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Oh, who don't got ahead? Can't see how far away I am. That perception will suck for you. I know, that's what I just said. Travels. See you at home.
And so ends another merry year at the old Renaissance Fair. It's really kind of weird walking out in the darkness without a nice parade to bid you farewell.
You're all you all weird out.
Would that kind of defeat the idea for a pirate ship looking like something from the Carnival Cruises? Hard to plunder when you see you're seen from like the entire